Hello everybody, my name is Miguel Ángel Allen Herbert Vargas and I'm a professor at the Universidad Veracruzana.
Hello, I am Emilia de los Santos and I am a student of the master's program.
Okay, and this is our presentation for the study that we carried out focusing on predominant emotions experienced by EFL learners towards the practice of the speaking skill inside the classroom.
This work aims to shed light on the predominant emotions that EFL students experience regarding speaking activities practiced in class and how these emotions boost or hinder their learning. This research was carried out taking into consideration two aspects: personal reasons, like the interest in understanding the relationship between human emotions and the learning process, as well as the researcher's empathy, who as a student also experienced the challenges of learning a foreign language. On a professional level, this research pretends to contribute data to the existing literature on the topic, to make visible the human side of the learner, to help students manage their emotions, and to share the findings of this work in forums and academic events. The main objective of this research was to find out about the emotions that speaking activities practiced in class arouses in the learner. The specific objectives were to identify the type, frequency, and intensity of such emotions and to discover the positive or negative impact of these emotions in the acquisition of the foreign language. The information obtained from this research could help teachers to adjust their instruction in order to satisfy their students' emotional needs and contribute to highlighting the importance of taking into consideration learners' emotional experiences when designing a curriculum. In this research, there was a main question, which was: how do emotions affect EFL students' performance in speaking activities? And four sub-questions, which were: how do EFL students perceive speaking activities? Which factors contribute to emotional experiences during speaking activities? To what extent do emotions influence EFL learners' willingness to communicate? And how do EFL learners deal with their emotions during speaking activities? Now let me tell you about the literature review. In this research, there are three main concepts. In first place, we have emotions as reactions to stimuli that involve physiological and behavioral components. From this definition, we can classify emotions as positive or negative. Some of the theories revived for the development of this research were the following: sociocultural theory, affective filter hypothesis, self-determination theory, cognitive load theory, emotional intelligence theory, positive psychology theory, broaden and build theory, and foreign language learning anxiety theory. These are some studies carried out in the Mexican context about the topic. For example, a study by Scholes et al. In 2015 aimed to find out the frequency of students' affective experiences when learning English. Another study by Stock in 2019 had the purpose of exploring the emotional experiences of EFL students while speaking a foreign language. Finally, a study carried out by Rayleigh and Sanchez Rosas in 2019 examined the reports of university students on 8 achievement emotions in their EFL classes. The methodology for this research was as follows. Due to the nature of this research, the most suitable worldview for carrying it out was from an interpretive constructive perspective. Since this study pretends to have insight in a social phenomenon, a qualitative design was selected. Since the research intends to study the phenomenon of emotions experienced inside a classroom, phenomenology was the perspective. The strategy employed for the development of this research was a case study. The participants were 12 students from the 7 sections of elementary English officially enrolled in the English BA at the Language School of the Universidad Veracruzana during the term from February to July 2023. Interviews were carried out with these students, and the technique used for the data analysis was content analysis. After analyzing the data, it was found that the most recurrent emotions generated in the students by the experience of speaking in English in front of others could be classified into 3 groups: positive emotions, negative emotions, and mixed emotions. The positive emotions were comfort, confidence, enjoyment, and motivation. These emotions have to do with factors such as their like for the English language, their familiarity with their interlocutors, and their English proficiency level. Regarding this, a participant said, "I like it a lot because I love imitating accents, so I like the way it sounds when I speak in English." Josaphat. On the other hand, the negative emotions were shame, discomfort, nervousness, and insecurity. These emotions were found to be related to insufficient vocabulary, poor communicative skills, and introverted personality. For example, "The truth is, I don't feel very confident speaking in front of many people, especially in English, because I'm afraid they are going to judge me," said Ernesto. The mixed emotions, according to the participants, it is a fusion of 2 emotions, generally antagonistic, such as nervousness about making mistakes, but motivation about learning from those mistakes. To this respect, Samantha said, "I feel good because I know I can do it, but sometimes I get a little nervous thinking that I might not know how to say some words." Regarding the factors that generate a state of excitement or motivation in the participants, they mentioned that the activities where they show their creativity, like designing a collage or playing the broken phone, are the ones they feel most motivated and excited about. Likewise, sharing personal interests with their teacher and peers is another activity that motivates them to talk confidently. Another motivating factor is the class dynamics. Students affirm that when the class has a positive dynamic, they feel more relaxed and express themselves more easily. Finally, the participants expressed that something that motivates them to participate in oral activities is receiving positive feedback from the teachers and peers. It was identified that the situations that generate frustration or anxiety in the participants are mainly those in which it is difficult to express themselves in English due to either pronunciation or grammar problems, as well as a lack of vocabulary. Likewise, another situation that generates anxiety in EFL students is when the feedback that their teachers or their classmates provide is in a negative or sharp tone, which embarrasses them and even inhibits them from participating in oral activities. Participants also express that they experience anxiety when they feel judged because of their lack of language skills. It was also possible to appreciate that according to the students' perceptions, emotions play an important role in language learning. Positive emotions such as motivation, happiness, self-esteem, and enthusiasm can encourage students to participate more in class and succeed in language learning. In contrast, negative emotions such as sadness, boredom, shyness, and anxiety limit participation in activities, and consequently effective learning. It was found that according to the participants' personal perceptions and experiences, the emotions that could have a positive impact on learning a foreign language are mainly confidence, security, happiness, self-esteem, motivation, and interest. Students were also asked about their emotions towards oral activities with topics they are interested in or which they have extensive knowledge about. With the given answers, it was identified that the emotions they experience are mainly motivation, excitement, security, and confidence. They declared that these emotions allow them to actively participate in the conversation, feel more committed to the topic, and want to share everything they know about it. On the other hand, when students have to carry out oral activities on topics that they don't like or that are irrelevant to them, they experience frustration, disinterest, worry, and boredom. Some participants reported that in these cases, it is difficult for them to assimilate the information. It was possible to identify some recurrent elements that cause boredom or lack of interest in students during an oral activity. The most outstanding are the theme. Some participants mentioned that they get bored when the theme of the activity is not related to everyday life situations. The dynamics. Some interviewees expressed that they do not like it when they feel forced to talk with people who are not willing to participate in the activity. The teacher. A participant mentioned that the way a teacher teaches the class can affect his interest in the activity. Others mentioned that they prefer teachers who are dynamic and try to make the class fun. Finally, the student's mood. Some participants mentioned that when they feel tired or fed up, they do not pay attention, neither feel like participating in activities. When asked if they had any strategies to deal with negative emotions, students mentioned the following. In first place, to breathe deeply. Several participants mentioned that taking a breath to put their ideas in order and continue with the activity with a different attitude was a good strategy. Another strategy was personality switching. Some of the participants shared that their strategy is to pretend they are someone else or that it is someone else they are talking to. They mentioned that with this strategy they feel more confident to talk in the foreign language. It is important to mention that some of the students declared that they don't have any strategy to control emotions during oral activities. They commented that they just get blocked and their brain goes blank. Finally, the participants were asked to suggest some strategies for teachers to implement when conducting speaking activities. In first place, they demanded a correlation between topics and learners. It is important that the students feel identified and connected with what they are going to say. There was also a request for an increase of oral activities. Theory does not help students to get rid of the shame of speaking in front of their peers. It is necessary to have more practice. Participants also mentioned personalized practice in order to develop students' communication skills without feeling pressured by their peers. Finally, they mentioned tolerance as an important strategy. It was suggested that teachers give feedback in a positive manner, with respect and in a neutral and friendly tone of voice.
Well, these are our conclusions, and these are the main findings from this study. Findings reveal that students experience a range of emotions when speaking English in front of others. including positive emotions like comfort, confidence, and motivation, as well as negative emotions like shame, discomfort, and nervousness. Certain oral activities, such as creative tasks and sharing personal interests, were found to motivate and excite students. In contrast, troubles with communication and negative feedback from teachers or peers generated anxiety and frustration. Another point was that boredom or disinterest in oral activities can be attributed to themes or topics not related to everyday lives, or a lack of engagement from teachers and students. Also, student emotions were seen to play a significant role in language learning, with positive emotions fostering participation and success, and negative emotions limiting engagement and progress. As well, strategies for managing negative emotions included deep breathing and adopting different personhood. Another point was that interesting or familiar topics made students feel motivated, excited, secure, and confident. As also, irrelevant or disliked topics led them to frustration, disinterest, worry, and boredom. And the last one was that students suggested improving communicative competence by aligning topics with learners, increasing oral activities, providing personalized practices, and fostering tolerance and positive feedback.
Regarding the implications, the findings of this research showed that the so-called positive emotions were found to enhance students' engagement and success in speaking activities. Then, the suggestion for educators and language teaching professionals could be to create a positive and supportive learning environment that reinforces students' positive emotions and fosters their participation. On the other hand, the identification of factors that generate negative emotions emphasizes the need of classroom management tools to deal with these emotions. So, the suggestion for teachers would be to promote a more pleasant learning environment through the use of suitable pedagogical approaches and motivating techniques. The findings also showed that activities that were relevant to the students' interests led to higher levels of motivation, excitement, and confidence. Here, the suggestion for professionals would be to include student-centered approaches that are in tune with students' interests, giving them chances for close interaction and exchange of ideas. The limitations of this study were, in first place, that the research focused specifically on the emotions of EFL students towards oral activities within the classroom, so findings may not be generalizable to other language skills or contexts. Secondly, the study was based on data collected from a small sample, which could introduce biases that lead to a misinterpretation of the results. Besides, the research was carried out in a specific educational environment and cultural context, as the participants are studying the English language degree on their own free will, unlike those who have to take some levels of English as a compulsory part of their curriculum, which can influence students' perception and experiences. Regarding further research, a study can be conducted, this time focusing on how teachers perceive and respond to students' emotions during speaking activities. Interviews with teachers may serve as a way to validate students' perceptions of the emotional environment in which the learning process takes place. Finally, these are some of my references.